Alright, what's with all the pins, Nick?
It's a pretty long story, man.
I want to hear it.
Are you sure?
Hold the camera while you say this.
Well,
While I eat my ice cream.
oh, it's a pretty crazy story. You see, I was walking down the street, just being myself, pretty crazily. And, a bear walks over to me, and he's like, "Rawr." And I'm like, okay, yeah, I got $20, man. And I'm like, what do you need it for? And he's like, "Rawr." And I'm like, that's cool. And so I give him the $20. Okay, I'm like, I'm a nice person like that. I gave the bear the $20. And so, and he's like, "Rawr," and thanks. And so then he starts walking away. And then this penguin comes, and he,
No.
and he,
No, I'm right.
and he mugs the bear. Okay, the penguin mugs the bear. You see, the penguin mugs the bear, and so, and I'm like, whoa, dude. I'm like, penguin man, why did you mug the bear? And the penguin comes over to me, and he's like, waddles over to me, and he does this, and he's like, "Quack." And I'm like, dude, calm down. Calm down. And he looks at me, and he's like, I'm like, dude, let's just, you don't need to bring my mom into this, And he's like, and I'm like, yeah, I got $30. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, okay, okay, take the money, jeez, Louise. And so I give him $30, and he's like, nah. And so, and so I'm like, I almost got shot by a penguin. It's like, gosh, that was close. I could have gotten shot today, and, well, then again, no one would have been sad. Why would you want to know about the penguins? Anyways, okay, and so, I'm just like, and so I start walking in, and next thing I know, this flying carpet, I'm just walking like this, and this flying carpet just sweeps me off my feet and starts flying over the desert. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome, Mr. Carpet, this is cool, Mr. Carpet, and, he's just like, doing this, not really saying anything. I'm like, that's cool, so, Mr. Carpet, where are we going? And, he continues doing that little thing he does when he's flying and all. I'm like, okay. And so then, he's flying, and, like, this giant beast worm thing comes out of the ground, and he eats the carpet and me. So I'm like, crap, no, I'm being eaten by a worm thing, And so, the worm eats me, it's traveling along the ground area, and it's like, nom, nom, nom. And so, and so I'm like, dang it, he's eating me. I can already feel my toes being digested. Well, the carpet, it's already been dissolved. Which kind of sucks. And so I'm like, how am I gonna escape? When, next thing I know, everything starts closing up on me. I'm like, no, I'm gonna die. And this, what was it?
A bus.
No, there's no bus. I remember now. It was a water bottle. And, I find this water bottle, and it's not digested, and I'm like, awesome. And so I, start ripping up, and it's like tiny pieces, and some of it's, really pointy, and so I start poking the sides of the worm, and it's like, and so I throw the water bottle up it, and it hits that dangling thing, I think the uvula, and it's like, and it throws up. I'm splattered on the ground, covered in worm muck. I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. And then the flying carpet comes back, and it's just like, I'm like, dude, I thought you got dissolved. And he's like, and so he, picks me up again and starts flying again. So we're just flying around, and, and, well, and so,
The bus comes along or something?
no, there's no bus. So he drops me off, and it's, with a lobster. There's a giant lobster in the middle of a desert. Okay?
Seems legit.
Yeah, it's totally legit. And and so the lobster
Don't
looks,
worry, we're not high.
and the lobster's like, well, you asked me how I got these pens. I'm telling you the story. And so the reason I was late to class was the bus one. The bus, you know, how they picked me up. And
Yeah,
stuff.
but
This
we'll
one,
ask you that after.
yeah, we'll do that later. And so there was a lobster, and it's looking at me with those eyes, and it's just like, and so I'm like, okay, well, can you like help me out here? And he looks at me, you know, its little feelers doing that, and it grabs me with its claw, and I'm like, thinking, crud, it's gonna like cut me in half, and it puts me on its back, and I'm like, whew. And then these tiny scorpions come out from the other side of the lobster. I'm like, oh man, maybe this isn't a lobster. And then the giant lobster, its tail curls up, and I'm like, oh, it's a zangoose. You know, like a mongoose with a zebra cross with it. Zongoose. You know.
Alright.
You know, and then these tiny little scorpion babies come out, and they're looking at me, and they're nipping at my clothing, and they're like, hey man, stop it. And so, like, the zongoose starts clawing around, you know, going around, and, you know, it digs. It starts digging into the ground, you know, and so, you know, it's just digging and digging and digging, and then a tiger comes out of nowhere. You know, it's just like with us, and it's looking at us like this. You know, that what the frick face. And so it goes up to me, and it's like, hey man, yeah, it said hey man to me, and it's like, hey man, do you have like, you know, a sandwich? I'm like, yeah, I got a sandwich. What do you need it for? It's like, I'm really hungry. I can give you like 48 pins for it. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so I take off my top hat, and I pull a sandwich out of it, and I give it to him. He's like, oh man, thanks, you're such a lifesaver. And he gives me all these pins. And so then I start, and I'm like, oh dude, you're welcome. Like, this is so cool. And then, and so I forget that I'm on the Zangoose thing, and I fall off of it, and I start to sink into the ground. Okay, I'm just sinking, and I'm sinking. And I'm like, oh, great, now I'm gonna die for real. And next thing I know, I'm in China. Okay? China, and this guy walks in, and he's like, dude, what's going on, man? What are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know, I just started sinking and stuff. And so he's like, oh, dude, that's cool. Like, do you need some help? And I'm like, oh, dude, that'd be great. He's like, well, you can borrow my airplane. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's like, come with me. And so, you know, he leads me to this airplane. He's like, get on in, and he'll take you where you need to go. And so I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so I get inside, and the pilot looks back at me, and it's a walrus. Okay, the walrus looks at me, and he's like, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess. And then it's like, well, so I'm like, well, I need to get to a place. And he's like, and so it starts flying the plane, you know. And it drops me off here, and well, here I am putting on 48 pens. And that's story time with Nick.
Alright, and don't worry guys, we're not high.
We really aren't.
Alright, see you guys later.
Click.